Good morning. What shall I talk about today? How about the subject of moods? MOODS. You know, sometimes we feel in a good mood, or sometimes we feel in a bad mood. So the good moods are not a problem. When we feel happy, enthusiastic, motivated, excited, that's great, and no need to think too much on those moods. But what about the bad moods? When we feel miserable, sad, bored, depressed, unmotivated, how should we deal with those moods? One thing we cannot help is that we are emotional beings as well as intellectual ones, and these emotions often seem out of our control, and we often cannot see their cause, what has made us feel sad or depressed or miserable or bored. But nevertheless, we have to continue with our activities, with our lives, even though at that moment in time we might not feel like doing anything except maybe lying on our bed or going to sleep. So I think there is one important thing to realize immediately about moods, is that they are constantly changing. We may be in a bad mood now, but 1 hour from now the mood may have totally changed. We may feel much more enthusiastic and happy. So we should not let the mood dictate our current behavior. We should carry on doing whatever we had planned to do, or following our routines, and not let the mood, this temporary feeling, determine what we do. I think daily routines are a great way to divert our attention away from bad moods. The things we have to do every day, like washing, cleaning, cooking, eating, exercise, these activities are great as a way of both diverting our attention away from our feelings and also making us do something constructive and useful. It's also good, I think, to have plans, short-term and long-term plans, so when you don't feel enthusiastic about doing anything, you still have your plan to fall back on. And this is useful in two ways. Firstly, of course, you are doing something useful, hopefully. And secondly, it may lead to a change in your feelings. Although we are emotional beings, we should not let emotions be the main cause of our behavior. We should make long-term plans based on intellectual decisions which we have carefully thought through. So even though we may not feel like doing something, we should follow our routines and our plans which we have made when we were in a good mood or had intellectual clarity. We should also try to always distinguish between our intellect and our emotions. We have these two faculties going on at the same time, but sometimes we might not be aware that it is emotions rather than clear thinking which is influencing our behavior. We need to develop skills of awareness, the ability to look at our own minds and see when we are being controlled by emotions and when we are thinking clearly. I think the intellect should be the stronger faculty, the one which we rely upon to make long-term plans and decisions. We should try to be practical, realizing that emotions are often fleeting, and not let them be the main determinants of our behavior. We should try to develop our intellectual awareness and skills at making long-term plans and decisions. One way to do this is to keep some kind of diary. So once you make a plan or have an idea which you think is important enough to pursue in the future, try to examine it each day or from time to time to make sure you still consider it valid. If, for example, you get an idea that I want to be very rich, and you write this in your diary, maybe 1 month later, look at the idea again and see if you still feel the same way about it. If you don't, this will suggest that your reason for thinking being rich was important was more emotional than rational. Rationality will create more consistency in your thinking and planning. So always try to question your ideas. Ask yourself, is this really true? And do I understand thoroughly my thinking behind this idea? I think when you start doing this, you may begin to discover that much of what you think and plan is not as clear and solid as you had thought it was. And don't let emotions overwhelm you. Realize that they are temporary and often irrational. So try to continue with your life despite how you feel at the time. What about trying to change your mood? Can you do this? Is this an effective strategy? Maybe. I think sometimes if you just do some new activity, your mood will change. But unfortunately, when you are in a bad mood, you probably lack the motivation to go and do some new activity. But it is certainly worth a try. Just doing anything actually may be effective because activity brings in new stimulation to your mind, and this may well change your mood as well. So how is your mood today? Good or bad? And what do you normally do when you want to get out of your bad mood? Has this method been effective in the past? And do you understand why you are in a bad mood? There are some questions for you to think about. Bye for now.